Today I'm going to read from Ecclesiastes chapter 9, and I don't know, when I've been flipping through my Bible these days, I've been drawn towards Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes is something that somebody else suggested or talked to me about recently, and yeah, maybe part of it is time seems to be going so fast these days, it's like, oh, I just need some quick encouragement, or I just let's find a little bit of wisdom in the Bible. And those are good places for just quick little snippets, and you don't have to read too much, because sometimes in the Bible you need like chapters and chapters to really, you can't like jump into the middle of everything. But some things like Psalms and Proverbs, you really can just kind of flip through and pick a page and read some stuff. Even a single chapter of Proverbs sometimes will just wildly change subjects. I personally think that Proverbs existed way before the Confucius type stuff. I think that Confucius was copying, in my personal opinion. Well, I'm keeping it simple today. The days have been flying by like crazy, and this year is flying by, and I just need to keep it simple right now, so I'm going to read this. It's a cool chapter. I probably have a few things to say. For all this I considered in my heart, even to declare all this, that the righteous and the wise and their works are in the hand of God. No man knoweth either love or hatred by all that is before them. All things come alike to all. There is one event to the righteous, and to the wicked, to the good, and to the clean, and to the unclean, to him that sacrificeth, and to him that sacrificeth not. As is the good, so is the sinner, and he that sweareth, as he that feareth an oath. This is an evil among all things that are done under the sun, and that there is one event unto all. Yea, also the heart of the sons of men is full of evil, and madness is in their heart while they live, and after that they go to the dead. I think that here he's describing something that a lot of us wrestle with, and I would say that it's even worse than this. I would say that in general, life is even worse than this. But it is true, and it's one of those things that I think people fundamentally understand, that nobody's different just based off of life circumstances. Everybody has to go through life in the same way, more or less. The details are different. There's the rich, there's the poor, but everybody has to go to the bathroom and eat food, and everybody feels sadness and loss and all of those things. But I would say that a lot of times it's even worse. Like, a lot of times evil people seem to get away with stuff, and a lot of times really good people suffer a lot in this life. And anyways, but that's part of it. Or maybe slightly different. Where was I? Verse 4. For to him that is joined to all the living there is hope. For a living dog is better than a dead lion. For the living know that they shall die, but the dead know not anything, neither have they any more a reward, for the memory of them is forgotten. Also their love, and their hatred, and their envy is now perished, neither have they any more a portion for ever in anything that is done under the sun. Go thy way, eat thy bread with joy, and drink thy wine with a merry heart, for God now accepteth thy works. And here, this is what I appreciate about the Bible. A lot of times people will point out stuff and they'll try to say it's a contradiction, but life isn't black or white. So I contrast this with Job saying he would rather never be born, ever, which is a totally valid feeling to have in certain circumstances. And that goes against what Solomon is saying here, in that it's better to be alive than to be dead, because at least you can experience things still. And I mean, I guess you could say that you agree more with one of those ideas than the other at different times in your life. But what I take away from this, which is kind of not even to do with that aspect, but have you noticed when people talk about loved ones dying, they talk about it in a weird way that's not biblically accurate. They're like, oh, they're up in heaven now watching down over you. That's not how it works. When you're dead, and you're waiting until the resurrection. I just find it interesting It seems like a very widespread thing where people talk about death. Christians, specifically, I mean, if other people who aren't Christian want to have their own theories, that's fine. But as a Christian, I read the Bible and see it written a certain way. But then when you hear people talk about it, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Oh, grandma's watching down on you. And I agree with Solomon here that when you're dead, and you're not having any experiences anymore. You're not a dead spirit floating around watching down on your grandchildren. And so maybe that's just like wishful thinking of people, or like a nice story that they want to tell their loved ones. But I don't think there's any biblical basis for that at all. I think that people that are dead, and they're not having any experiences until resurrection. I think that they're like in a stasis, basically. Like, now, Revelation does say something strange about there being these really deep pits, and there's I don't know if it says the souls of dead people. I would have to go read it again, but maybe some of you know what I'm talking about, where in Book of Revelation it does mention these, like, it's like a pit kind of thing, like a chamber, a place where certain souls are kind of stored, and it seems like they're wandering around with white robes on or something. I don't know. Leave a comment about it. All right, I'm going to keep reading. I'm going to reread verse 7. Go thy way, eat thy bread with joy, and drink thy wine with a merry heart, for God now accepteth thy works. Let thy garments be always white, and let thy head lack no ointment. Live joyfully with the wife whom thou lovest all the days of life of thy vanity, which he hath given thee under the sun, all the days of thy vanity, for that is thy portion in this life, and in thy labor which thou takest under the sun. I love that he keeps bringing up the vanity thing. Like, go enjoy it. Yeah, it's vanity, but you should at least enjoy it. And to me, what I take away from this, and the way that I think that I apply, is to just, if you're gonna go through this life and struggle, at least be an optimist about the situation, and don't forget about Thanksgiving, because there's all sorts of horrible things in this life, and a lot of us suffer greatly, but there is a lot to be thankful about. And somebody left a comment that most of their prayers are Thanksgiving, and I think that that's a really good idea. And just to exist at all is a mystery, and we should be thankful every day to God that we exist at all. And so I think that's a cool idea, to have more of your prayer or talking with God to be about Thanksgiving. To be thankful for the optimistic things, and even things like, oh, this food is really tasty. I love having taste buds and being able to experience different sensations and have a level of consciousness that can appreciate things, and not like a dog scarfing down a burrito in half a second. I think these next verses, or I don't know if it's more than one verse, but it's really cool what's coming up here, and I think it's really applicable to life. Verse 10, whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. For there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave, whither thou goest. I think that's, pay attention to your surroundings and take opportunities that come to you. And don't be lazy in situations like that. A lot of people miss a lot of opportunities in life because they just don't take any risks. They don't put themselves out there. If you put yourself out there more, give more opportunities, you'll see stuff fall in your lap. And, you know, it's up to you whether you take it and run with it, or you can just say no. But that's what I saw here, that it seems very much like you're going to be given opportunities that you couldn't even guess in life. Like, a lot of people in life say that. Like, I don't even know how I ended up, they'll have a story, but it's like, they have a story for how they ended up doing the thing that they're doing. And it's not like they knew their whole life, hey, I want to end up doing this. So take opportunities, do it well. Don't just drop it the second that it gets challenging. If life presents you with an opportunity and you're like, hey, I'm going to do this, you know, put some effort into it. I think that's an important aspect of that too, that if you are going to take on something, you may as well put some effort into it. And I'm almost done. I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding. How often do you hear about rich people that make it rich and all they have is a high school diploma? nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and chance happeneth to them all. For man also knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in an evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snare. So are the sons of men snared in an evil time, when it falleth suddenly upon them. This wisdom have I seen also under the sun, and it seemed great unto me. There was a little city, and few men within it, and there came a great king against it, and besieged it, and built great bulwarks against it. Now there was found in it a poor wise man, and he by his wisdom delivered the city, yet no man remembered that same poor man. Then, said I, wisdom is better than strength. Nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard. The words of wise men are heard in quiet more than the cry of him that ruleth among fools. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroyeth much good. So at the end there, it seems kind of proverby at the very end there, but what an interesting parable, and I think it's really, what came to mind, like a modern day application of that, my mind went straight to a company's having a crisis. Like there's a company having a crisis, and you have like a janitor walk by and just like say something and then continue walking by and finishing their janitor work. And then you see some manager bozo come in and just repeat the very thing that the janitor says. And they get all the credit for everything, and nobody ever remembers that this janitor walked up and was the person who had that idea. And I imagine that happens all over the place. And that's why I think the way that he frames it, this wisdom have I seen also under the sun, and it seemed great unto me. It seems like over his life, Solomon had seen this happen again and again, where some lower status person is actually the one doing the bulk of the work, or comes up with a really good idea, has the wisdom, and it gets forgotten to time. It just, after the crisis is averted, people just don't even remember anymore about the person who saved him out of that. It's an interesting, I think that you could meditate a lot on that, find all sorts of interpretations, because when I just said that right there, it made me think of how, yeah, sometimes people, like, this is probably a perfect example. People are on a plane crashing down, praying to God to save the airplane. The airplane gets saved. How many of those people just move on with their life like, all right, cool. And they don't give proper credit to God. They don't have like a complete life transformation at that point because God saved them from calamity. They just move on with their life and forget about it. I imagine that happens a lot, where people have crisis and they turn to God for a second and then they just forget about it the next day. Well, that is it for this video. Mostly just a reading of Ecclesiastes chapter 9. You can always leave a comment talking about specific parts of the Bible that you're interested in. This, in my opinion, I mean, I like videos like this. Keeps things simple, but if current event topics or anything else comes up, I'll keep making videos of that. I've been very tired recently, and the days are flying by like crazy, and I have a lot of stuff going on, so it's hard to research interesting things all the time. But I think that the Bible is interesting all the time, and always interesting to read. And it's just a good thing to have a part of your everyday, to read some of the Bible every day. It's a good opportunity. It makes an opportunity where it can really help your day in a way that you weren't thinking that it may. Well, I'm rambling. Hope you enjoyed the video. God bless everyone.